Good morning, Year 10. I hope you're all well. We're just going to continue with the Algebra Unit 5 chapter from the textbook. Last term we were doing expanding brackets, double brackets, single brackets, and even three brackets. Today we're going to start doing factorising quadratics. I'm going to explain to you what factorising means. Some of you should know already. I'm going to explain to you what a quadratic is. Again, some of you might know that already. And the main objective today is to factorise simple two-term quadratics. Okay, just a special case, we've got two terms and how to factorise that. Just as a little spoiler, today we'll be factorising to single brackets only. Okay, I'm going to define what a quadratic is. So it is an algebraic expression containing an x squared. So there's going to be an x squared term in there, and that's the highest power. Okay, so an algebraic expression containing an x squared, and that is the highest powered term as well. So there's no x cubes or x to the power of 4s or x to the power of 5s. X squared is in there and it's the highest powered term. Second definition, what the word factorising means in maths. And in this context, it is just the reverse of expanding brackets. So the opposite or inverse of expanding brackets. And that's it. Okay, so those are two definitions that you should know already. Let's try and factorise a quadratic now. So as you can see, we've got x squared subtract 12x. It contains an x squared. That's the highest powered term, so it definitely is a quadratic. And the method for factorising is the same as before. I've given you a clue that is single brackets. And if you remember, one way to do this, if you don't want to do it in your head, is to write everything out in full. So x squared in full would be x times x. Subtract 12x. You could write the number 12 as factors using your calculator. If you remember, there's a button on the calculator, the fact button, to write 12 as, in this case, 2 squared times 3. So 2 times 2 times 3 times x. And then you identify the common factors. So there's an x there, and there's an x in that term. And that's it. That's the only common factor. And that goes on the outside of the single bracket. And then whatever's left over goes on the inside. So x is left over, subtract 2 times 2 times 3, which is 12. And some of you can go straight to that answer, but that's the long way to do it, and it always works. You can always check your answers by expanding the brackets to see if it makes sense. X times x does give you x squared, and x times negative 12 does give you negative 12x. So you know that's right. Okay, let's keep going. E.g. number 2. We have 3x squared subtract 12x. And again, some of you can do this in your head. However, you can write it out in full as well. So 3x squared in full is 3 times x times x. Subtract 12x in full is 2 times 2 times 3 times x. And then you need things common to both of these terms. This is why it's a two-term quadratic, because it's only two terms. There's a 3 common, but there's also an x common. And that's it. things in common go on the front of the bracket, 3 times x, so 3x. And everything else goes on the inside of the bracket. So you're left over with an x. Subtract 2 times 2, which is 4. And then check your answer, try and expand it. 3x times x gives you the 3x squared. And 3x times negative 4 does give you negative 12x. One more. Okay, minus x squared, subtract 2x. It's a bit awkward with some negatives in there where you don't normally have the negatives, particularly the one in front of the x squared, but we can use exactly the same method. But I prefer to write this rather than minus x squared. Might be better to think of it as maybe minus 1x squared. We'll see. So I'll do it both ways. So minus x times x, subtract 2 times x, which gives you x is common, and then you've got x on the outside of the bracket, and then inside the bracket you'd have minus x, and you'd have minus 2, like so. However, there's an alternative to this. That would give you the right answer, but some people prefer to write this as, again, minus x times x minus 2 times x. And when they factorize, they take out, let me try and write this in the best way possible. They take out the x, but they also acknowledge there's a negative sign common as well. So they try to take out that negative sign. And when you do that, you get minus x on the outside, and in the bracket, whatever's left over, which would be an x. And in this case, no minus 2, but a plus 2. And both of these give exactly the same answer. X times negative x gives you the negative 1x squared. X times negative 2 gives you the negative 2x. But also, negative x times x gives you the minus x squared. And negative x times plus 2 gives you minus 2x. And to be fair, this answer I prefer more than this one. But both of them would be marked right in an exam. Okay. Right, quick exam tip, a virtual exam tip, is expand the brackets to check your answer. Okay, so you can use expanding brackets to check to see if your answer is correct. So expand the brackets of your answer to check to see if it's correct. Okay, now there's not many examples in the textbook for you to do for these, so you're going to have to do a worksheet, which I'm going to attach to the class notebook, which is our new way of uploading documents. So there should be a worksheet on the class notebook. It'll be these two-term quadratics. Do all of your workings in your book, and then upload pictures of those workings to the class notebook. I'll also put the answers on the class notebook, so you should be able to mark them yourself as well. So do the workings from the worksheet in your book, mark them using the answers on the class notebook, and then upload your workings and other stuff to the class notebook as well. Thank you very much.